أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
Surah 78,
Naba,
The Tiding, Meccan period. Title. The surah's title is taken from verse 2, in which the expression
Naba,
the tiding occurs. Far from being a mere nominal title, this phrase encapsulates the surah's main theme, namely tidings of the last day and the hereafter. Therefore, the whole surah revolves round this subject matter. Period of revelation. As already indicated in the introduction to Surah Al-Mursalat, the group of surahs from Al-Qiyamah 75 to
An-Nazi'at,
79 addresses the same theme. These appear to have been revealed in the early part of the Meccan period. Subject matter and themes. As in Surah Al-Mursalat, this surah affirms the reality of the last day and the hereafter. It warns man against the consequences of rejecting this doctrine. When the Prophet, peace be upon him, commenced his call to the truth in Mecca, it rested on these doctrines. 1. Not to associate anyone with Allah in his divinity. 2. To accept the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, as Allah's messenger. And 3. To believe that the world will disintegrate on the last day. This will be followed by the resurrection of all the dead in their original bodies they had during their lives in this world. All this will mark the commencement of the hereafter. Everyone will be called to account regarding his or her beliefs and deeds. Those who had believed and performed good deeds will be sent to their eternal abode in paradise. Conversely, the unbelievers and evildoers will be consigned forever to hell. Of these three doctrines, the first was deeply resented by the unbelieving Meccans. Yet, they did not altogether deny the existence of God. In fact, they recognized Him as the Supreme Lord, Creator and Sustainer. They conceded that even those whom they took as God's partners were His creation. Their main objection to the doctrine of monotheism stemmed from their mistaken notion that their gods had a share in God's divinity and attributes. As for the doctrine of messengership, they refused to accept the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, as Allah's messenger. Yet, it was hard for them to dismiss him as a liar, fraudulent, or selfish person. He had, after all, spent 40 years of his life in their midst, day and night. So, on the contrary, they had regarded him all along for these 40 years of his pre-prophetic life as a mature, wise, and trustworthy person of impeccable character and conduct. Notwithstanding the plethora of allegations raised by them, these unbelieving Meccans found it hard to reconcile themselves to the idea that he was false in his claim to messengership. The doctrine of the hereafter was, however, the most problematic for the Meccans. When they came to learn of it, they dismissed it mockingly out of hand. For them, it was something implausible, rather unimaginable. Indeed, they projected it as incredible so as to discredit Islam. Nonetheless, if they were to be converted to Islam, it was essential that they believe in this doctrine. Without their conviction in the hereafter, they could not adopt a serious, sincere outlook on life, one that would enable them to distinguish truth from falsehood. The entire value system of good and evil is premised on the doctrine of the hereafter. In the absence of their belief in it, the Meccans could not give up their this worldliness, nor could they follow the way of Islam along the desired lines. Hence, the emphasis on the doctrine of the hereafter in the early Meccan surahs. In essence, these seek to instill a strong conviction in their hearts about life in the next world. Such arguments are adduced as reinforced belief in this article of faith. Arguments for the truthfulness of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, as Allah's messenger, and for the genuineness of the Quran as Allah's book, are also interspersed in these surahs. Having noted the rationale behind this emphasis on the doctrine of the hereafter in the surahs of the early Meccan period, let us now turn to the overall subject matter of this surah. First, mention is made of the ongoing discussions and whispering campaign in the alleys of Mecca regarding the concept of the hereafter. This is followed by posing these questions to the unbelievers. Do they not look at the earth spread by Allah like a bed for them? Do they not observe the high and mighty mountains fixed as pegs by Him? Do they not consider how He has created mankind in pairs as men and women? Do they not ponder over the phenomenon of sleep, which is a means of repose, reinvigorating them for work? Do they not reflect on why we need a few hours' sleep after work? Do they not note the alternation of day and night, which is perfectly suited for their needs? This is a regular, constant process whereby day is overtaken by night, which in turn is followed by day. Do they not think about the strong sky built above them? Do they not marvel at the sun, the source of heat and light for them? Do they not study the phenomenon of rain, of which its abundant water helps them grow grain and vegetation? Do these clear signs not underscore that the all-powerful Lord, who has brought all this into being, may not cause the last day and resurrect the dead? Does the perfection and wisdom underlying the working of the universe not convince them of a purpose behind creation? As each and every component of the universe is highly useful and purposive in its own right, the universe as a whole, too, has not been created as mere sport. It is patently silly to assume that while man may be invested with authority in this world, he may get away without recompense after his death. There must be reward and punishment for good and bad performance, respectively. After adducing these weighty arguments, it is asserted that the day of judgment is bound to happen at its appointed term. With one blow of the trumpet, the tidings of the last day will come true. Man is in no doubt free to accept or reject the doctrine of the hereafter. However, on the last day, all the dead, no matter where they lie, will appear in throngs in order to present their records. The unbeliever's rejection of the hereafter cannot avert this eventuality. Verses 21 to 30 clarify that the unbelievers who disregard divine recompense and belie divine signs will be called to account for their each and every deed. Hellfire has already been prepared for them. They will be recompensed in full for their misdeeds. Verses 31 to 36 relate the rewards to be showered upon the believers who, recognizing the truth of their accountability in the hereafter, felt concerned and did good. They are assured of rewards over and above what they deserve. The surah's concluding part recounts the proceedings of the divine court. No one will, without Allah's leave, be able to intercede for anyone, let alone secure anyone else's deliverance. Those allowed to intercede will recommend the cases of only those about whom they have such permission. Moreover, they will not make any undue or unfair recommendation. Only the devotees of truth will be considered for intercession and pardon of their sins. Those who defied Allah and rejected the truth will not have any helper or supporter in the hereafter. This note of warning marks the surah's conclusion that the last day is inevitable. It should not be thought of as a distant, remote possibility. Man is nonetheless free to select Allah's way or disregard this warning. In the latter eventuality, he will, however, face the dire consequences of his misdeeds. Then he will rue and wish that he had not been born. Remorsefully, he will curse the worldly pleasures to which he had been addicted.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.
In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate.
عَمَّ يَتَسَاءَلُونَ.
About what are they asking one another?
عَنِ النَّبَإِ الْعَظِيمِ.
Is about the awesome tiding
الَّذِي هُمْ فِيهِ مُخْتَلِفُونَ.
that they are in utter disagreement. The awesome tiding refers to the last day and the day of judgment. This tiding was found by the Makkans to be somewhat bewildering. They discussed it in their meetings, often in hushed tones. Moreover, they asked one another about it. For them, it was incredible that the dead could rise again. Once the body had decayed and the bones disintegrated, it could not, they reasoned, be brought back to life. Resurrection on such a grand scale, which involved the restoration of all the dead, astonished them in equal degree. They thought it impossible that the mountains so firmly fixed presently could turn into carded wool and float, while the sun, the moon, and stars would set forever. The collapse of the present order was beyond them. They doubted the Prophet's mental state for announcing such tidings. Paradise and hell were totally unfamiliar to them, nor had they heard any such account from the Prophet, peace be upon him, at an earlier date. Indeed, they found the whole description as unbelievable. That they were in utter disagreement about it may stand for their questioning one another about it, or it may underscore the divergence of opinion among them about the ultimate end of this world. They differed widely on this issue. Some of them, under the influence of Christian dogma, did believe in life after death. However, they thought that such existence would only be on a spiritual plane, not in a physical, corporeal sense. Some were skeptical about this doctrine, as is reported in the Quran elsewhere. We do not know what the hour of resurrection is. We are simply making conjectures and are not at all certain. Al-Jathiyah 45:32. Others rejected this doctrine outright. They say, there is nothing but the life of this world, and we shall not be raised from the dead. Al-An'am 6:29. The atheists among them held this view. There is no life other than our present worldly life. Herein we live and we die, and it is only the passage of time that destroys us. Al-Jathiyah 45:24. Even those who were not atheists rejected the idea of the next life, viewing it as improbable. For them, it was beyond divine power to raise the dead back to life. They argued, who will quicken the bones when they have decayed? Yasin 36:78. Such divergence of opinion on the issue itself betrayed their lack of sure knowledge. They were misled by conjecture alone. Had they possessed certain knowledge about this matter, they would not have differed so sharply among themselves. For further details, see Al-Dhariyat 51, Note 6.
كلا سيعلمون.
No, indeed. Soon will they come to know. No, indeed. Their notions about the hereafter are grossly mistaken. There is no truth in what they imagine.
ثم كلا سيعلمون.
Again, no, indeed. Soon will they come to know. Again, no, indeed. Soon will they come to know. Soon will this reality appear right in front of them, which they dispute. Then they will realize the veracity of the Prophet's tiding and the falsity of their own notions.
ألم نجعل الأرض مهادا.
Have we not spread the earth like a bed? Have we not spread the earth like a bed? The wisdom underlying the divine sign of spreading the earth like a bed for man is elucidated in the following explanatory notes. Towards Understanding the Quran, Volume 7, Al-Naml 27, Note 73, 74, and 81, paragraphs 171 to 173 and 176. Volume 9, Yasin 36, Note 29, paragraphs 256 to 257, Al-Mu'min 40, Notes 90 to 91, Al-Zukhruf 43, Note 7, Al-Jathiyah 45, Note 7, and Kaf 50, Note 18.
والجبال أوتادا.
And fix the mountains like pegs. And fix the mountains like pegs. As to the logic behind the placement of mountains on planet Earth, see these explanatory notes. Towards Understanding the Quran, Volume 4, Al-Nahl 16, Note 12, page 317. Volume 7, Al-Naml 27, Note 74, paragraphs 172 to 173, and Al-Mursalat 77, Note 15.
وخلقناكم أزواجا.
And created you in pairs as men and women. And created you in pairs as men and women. For a discussion on the creation in pairs as man and woman, see these explanatory notes. Towards Understanding the Quran, Volume 7, Al-Furqan 25, Note 69, page 33. Volume 8, Al-Rum 30, Notes 28 to 30, paragraphs 89 to 92. Volume 9, Yasin 36, Note 31, page 258. Al-Surah 42, Note 77. Al-Zukhruf 43, Note 12, and Al-Qiyamah 75, Note 25.
وجعلنا نومكم سباتا.
And made your sleep a means of repose. and made your sleep a means of repose. Allah has made sleep innate in human nature, which, as a means of repose, provides rest to man. Man feels compelled to sleep after a few hours' work. For elaboration of this point, see the following explanatory note towards Understanding the Quran, Volume 8, Al-Rum 30, Note 33, paragraphs 93 to 95.
وَجَعَلْنَا اللَّيْلَ لِبَاسًا
And made the night a covering.
وَجَعَلْنَا النَّهَارَ مَعَاشًا
And made the day to seek livelihood. And made the day to seek livelihood. In other words, the night. Darkness at night helps man sleep more comfortably. On the contrary, the day has been made bright, enabling man to earn his livelihood in a better way. There are numerous benefits in the alternation of day and night. Of these, attention is drawn to only one. Man is thus instructed that it is not some haphazard happening. Rather, this is a part of a grand plan which is best suited for man. Since the human body needs darkness at night for sound sleep and brightness in the day for seeking bread, the same has been provided. This perfect arrangement catering for man's needs itself underscores the divine wisdom at work. All this has been devised by the all-knowing, all-wise Allah. For further details, see towards Understanding the Quran, Volume 4, Yunus 10, Note 65, paragraphs 48 to 50. Al-Mu'min 40, Note 85, Volume 9, Yasin 36, Note 32, paragraphs 258 to 259, and Al-Zukhruf 43, Note 4.
وَبَنَيْنَا فَوْقَكُمْ سَبْعًا شِدَادًا
And built above you 7 strong firmaments. And built above you 7 strong firmaments. Allah has built 7 strong firmaments which are unalterable. Furthermore, the numerous planets floating in these do not collide with one another, nor do any of these collapse on the earth. For further details, see towards Understanding the Quran, Volume 1, Al-Baqarah 2, Note 34, page 58, Volume 4, Al-Ra'd 13, Note 2, paragraphs 219 to 220, Al-Hijr 15, Notes 8 and 12, paragraphs 284, 285, and 286, Volume 6, Al-Mu'minun 23, Note 15, page 89, Volume 8, Luqman 31, Note 13, paragraphs 127 and 128. Volume 9, Yasin 36, Note 37, paragraphs 261 to 262. Al-Safat 37, Notes 5 and 6, pages 282. Al-Mu'min 40, Note 90, and Kaf 50, Notes 7 to 8.
وَجَعَلْنَا سِرَاجًا وَهَّاجًا
And placed therein a hot, shining lamp. And placed therein a hot, shining lamp. The reference here is to the sun. The Quranic expression vahaj signifies both intense heat and bright light. Our rendering is accordingly a hot, shining lamp. This brief statement once again draws attention to Allah's creative power and wisdom. This magnificent divine sign, whose diameter is 109 times more than that of the earth and with a size of 333,000 times greater than that of the earth, has a temperature of 14 million centigrade. Although it is at a distance of 93 million miles away from Earth, its intense glare is such that any attempt to look at it with the naked eye may lead to blindness. As to its heat, it is widely known that in certain places on Earth the temperature rises to as high as 140 degrees Fahrenheit, owing to the sunlight. Out of His infinite wisdom, Allah has placed it at such a distance that it does not cause intolerable heat for being too close or chilling cold for being too distant from the earth. Rather, its heat and light are well suited for human, animal, and plant life. Its tremendous energy has been a life-giving source for man. It helps crops ripen, which in turn provides sustenance to all living beings. Its heat causes water vapors to rise, which ultimately return to various parts of the earth as rainfall. Since the beginning of the universe, the sun has been serving, thanks to Allah's mercy, as a unique powerhouse, providing light, heat, and rays of all sorts across the solar system.
وَأَنزَلْنَا وأنزلنا من المعصرات ماء ثجاجا
And sent down abundant water from the clouds,
لنخرج به حبا ونباتا
so that we may thereby bring forth grain and vegetation,
وجنات ألفافا
and gardens dense with foliage, and gardens dense with foliage. Rainfall and its resultant vegetation represent another manifestation of Allah's power and wisdom. This point is elucidated in the following explanatory notes. Towards Understanding the Quran, Volume 4, Al-Nahl 16, Note 53a, paragraphs 339 to 340. Volume 6, Al-Mu'minun 23, Note 17, page 90. Volume 7, Al-Shu'ara 26, Note 5, page 55. Volume 8, Al-Rum 30, Note 35, page 95. Volume 9, Fatir 35, Note 19, page 215. Yasin 36, Note 29, page 256. Al-Mu'min 40, Note 20. Al-Zukhruf 43, Notes 10 and 11. And Al-Waqia 56, Notes 28 to 30. These verses adduce a series of divine signs in order to persuade the unbelievers to note at least these two outstanding features in their own creation and of the earth and mountains, in their pattern of sleep and waking up, in the alternation of day and night, in the working of the universe, in the bright shining sun, and in rainfall and vegetation. A. These phenomena could not exist or continue regularly without the will and role of the all-powerful One. And B. Each and every part is marked by a purpose. Nothing happens haphazardly. It could only be a fool's case that the Supreme One, who brought all this into being in the first place, may be unable to destroy or recreate the same. Since the All-Wise has invested every object in the universe with a sense of purpose, He cannot let man go scot-free, for He has endowed man with reason, discernment between good and evil, free will to choose between obedience and disobedience, and authority over many of His creatures. Hence, man must be called to account for properly utilizing or abusing what he has got. Rejection of the hereafter means that both the most pious and the wicked will die without reward or punishment. Yet, the pious must be rewarded and the evil punished. These are the main arguments for life after death and the last day which recur in the Quran. Some instances in point are Towards Understanding the Quran, Volume 4, Al-Rad 13, Note 7, paragraphs 221 to 222. Volume 6, Al-Hajj 22, Note 9, paragraphs 9 to 11. Volume 8, Al-Rum 30, Note 6, paragraphs 76 to 78. Volume 9, Sabah 34, Notes 10 and 12, paragraphs 155 and 156. And Al-Safat 37, Notes 8 and 9, paragraphs 283 and 284.
إن يوم الفصل كان ميقاتا
Surely, the day of judgment has an appointed time.
يوم ينفخ في الصور فتأتون أفواجا
The day when the trumpet shall be blown, and you will come forth in multitudes. The day when the trumpet shall be blown, and you will come forth in multitudes. The allusion here is to the final trumpet, of which the blowing will result in the resurrection of all dead human beings, including the direct addressees of this surah, so all those born since the beginning until the blowing of the trumpet. For further details, see Towards Understanding the Quran, Volume 4, Ibrahim 14, Note 57, paragraphs 276 to 277. Volume 6, Al-Hajj 22, Note 1, paragraphs 5 to 6. Volume 9, Yasin 36, Notes 46 to 47, paragraphs 265 to 266. And Al-Zumar 39, Note 79.
وفتحت السماء فكانت أبوابا
And when the sky shall be opened up and will become all doors,
وسيرت الجبال فكانت سرابا.
And the mountains will be set in motion and become a mirage. And the mountains will be set in motion and become a mirage. In this Quranic passage, as in others, various stages of the last day are lumped together. The first verse describes all that will happen on the blowing of the first trumpet. The next two verses recount the scene at the blowing of the second trumpet. As stated in the Quran, on that day, the sky will be rent asunder. Al-Haqqa 69:16. In other words, all natural barriers will be lifted and calamities will befall the earth one after another. As the sky will be opened up and will become all doors, the mountains will be set in motion and become a mirage. Verses 19 and 20. On the last day, in no time, will the mountains float and disintegrate into vast deserts. Almost the same point is made thus in this Quranic passage. They ask you concerning the mountains, where will they go? Say, my Lord will scatter them like dust and leave the earth a leveled plain in which you shall find no crookedness or curvature. Taha 20:105-107.
إن جهنم كانت مرصادا.
Surely the hell is an ambush. Surely the hell is an ambush. The word mirsad, ambush, denotes a spot which is especially chosen to entrap game, a spot where it is caught unawares. Hell is described as an ambush because God's rebels, being unaware, are fearless of it. As a result, they strut about considering the world to be simply a den for their own self-indulgence, altogether incognizant of the possibility of being caught and punished. Thus, hell being hidden from their eyes is like an ambush wherein they are likely to be entrapped.
للطاغين مآبا.
A resort for the rebellious.
لابثين فيها أحقابا.
Therein they shall abide for ages. Therein they shall abide for ages. The word aqab used here denotes long periods of time, each period following the other in succession. Some misconstrue this word in the sense that while life in paradise will be eternal, it will not be so in hell. For these periods, no matter how long they are, will come to an end at some point. Such reasoning is flawed on the following two grounds. A. An idiomatic Arabic haqab stands for a period of time, which is bound to be followed by another period. These periods appear in quick succession. It is then an unending phenomenon. And B. It is both unfair and reprehensible that a Quranic verse be interpreted in a sense that runs contrary to the thrust of other Quranic verses. On as many as 34 occasions, the Quran specifies that the inmates of hell will remain there forever. In 3 instances, the point is further reinforced, adding that it will be their eternal abode. Take this verse as illustrative. They will wish to come out of the fire, but they will not. Theirs will be a long-lasting chastisement. Al-Maidah 5:37. By the same token, the pious will have paradise as their eternal abode. As for the wretched, they shall be in the fire, and in it they shall sigh and groan. They shall abide in it as long as the heavens and the earth last, unless your Lord should will otherwise. Surely, your Lord does whatever He wills. And as for those who are blessed, they shall abide in the gardens of paradise as long as the heavens and the earth last, unless your Lord should will otherwise. Hud 11:106-108. In the face of these clarifications, there is no substance whatsoever in the notion that Allah's rebels will be in hell only for a specific or short period of time.
لا يذوقون فيها بردا ولا شرابا.
They shall taste in it no coolness, nor any pleasant drink.
إلا حميما وغساقا.
Save boiling water and wash of the wounds. Save boiling water and wash of the wounds. Ghasak is used of such body fluids as pus blood, and other secretions from the eye and skin as a result of some grievous bodily harm. Ghasak is also used to connote something with a horrid, offensive smell.
جزاء وفاقا.
A befitting recompense for their deeds.
إنهم كانوا لا يرجون حسابا.
For indeed, they did not look forward to any reckoning.
وكذبوا بآياتنا كذابا.
And roundly denied our signs as false. And roundly denied our signs as false. This is the reason for their torment in hellfire. They spent their lives in this world assuming that they would never have to appear before God for rendering an account of their deeds. Moreover, they rejected outright the divine guidance and signs conveyed to them by Allah's messengers, dismissing them as lies.
وكل شيء أحصيناه كتابا.
And everything have we recorded in a book. And everything have we recorded in a book. Allah has a complete record of their deeds, actions, and even motives. It is a complete record. Yet these foolish unbelievers think they can get away with anything and are free to act as they like. They altogether disregard their accountability.
فذوقوا فلن نزيدكم إلا عذابا.
So taste the fruit of your deeds. We shall only increase your torment.
إن للمتقين مفازا.
Surely, the state of triumph awaits the God-fearing. Surely, the state of triumph awaits the God-fearing. The God-fearing ones are in a sharp contrast to the rebellious unbelievers who reject both the concept of divine recompense and divine signs. On the contrary, the God-fearing sincerely believe in divine signs and lead their lives fully realizing that they have to present an account of their deeds to Allah.
حدائق وأعنابا.
Gardens and vineyards.
وكواعب أترابا.
And youthful maidens of like age. And youthful maidens of like age. These youthful maidens may be of the same age group. Alternatively, it might mean that their spouses will be of the same age group. This point also features in Sa'd 38:52 and Al-Waqiyah 56:37.
وكأسا دهاقا.
And an overflowing cup.
لا يسمعون فيها لغوا ولا كذابا.
Therein they shall hear no idle talk, nor any falsehood. Therein they shall hear no idle talk, nor any falsehood. According to the Quran, one of the major bounties of paradise is that its dwellers shall hear no idle talk, nor any falsehood. No one there will indulge in gossip, vain talk, lying, and accusation. This will be in sharp contrast to the flood of abuses, obscenity, scandal-mongerings, calumnies, accusations, and counter-accusations which mar our social life. For further details, see towards Understanding the Quran, Volume 5, Maryam 19, Note 38, page 166, and Al-Waqiyah 56, Notes 13 to 14.
جزاء من ربك عطاء حسابا.
A recompense from your Lord and an ample reward. A recompense from your Lord and an ample reward. The words, a recompense from your Lord and an ample reward, convey the sense that the God-fearing will not simply receive due recompense for their good deeds. In addition, Allah will also bestow upon them a special reward, one that will be ample. As opposed to this, only this much is said regarding the inmates of hell, that they will be punished in full for their misdeeds. In other words, their punishment will be perfectly proportionate to their misdeeds. The same truth is stated at several places in the Quran. For example, in Yunus 10:26-27, Al-Naml 27:89-90, Al-Qasas 28:84, Sabah 34:33-38, and Al-Mu'min 40:40.
رب السماوات والأرض وما بينهما الرحمن لا يملكون منه خطابا.
from the Lord of the heavens and the earth, and of that which is between them, the most merciful Lord, before whom none dare utter a word. The most merciful Lord, before whom none dare utter a word. Awe will overwhelm everyone in the grand assembly, so much so that none, whether they dwell on earth or in the heavens, will be able to utter a word in Allah's presence, nor will they dare to interfere in the reckoning, to which they will all be subject.
يوم يقوم الروح والملائكة صفا لا يتكلمون إلا من أذن له الرحمن وقال صوابا.
The day when the Spirit and the angels are ranged row on row, none shall speak save he whom the merciful Lord will permit, and he too will speak what is right. The day when the Spirit. Most Quranic scholars think that the word Spirit stands for Gabriel. The very high position with which Allah invested him called for his being mentioned independently of all the other angels. And he too will speak what is right. The reference here is to intercession, which will be subject to these two conditions. A. Only those whom Allah permits will speak for any other person. And B. He will only speak what is right. No one will be able to make any unfair or undue intercession. The person for whom intercession is made must have been a believer, though he may be a sinner. For a detailed discussion on the concept of intercession, see Towards Understanding the Quran, Volume 1, Al-Baqarah 2, Note 281, page 196. Volume 4, Yunus 10, Note 5, page 7, and Hud 11, Note 106, page 134. Volume 5, Maryam 19, Note 52, paragraphs 172 to 173. Taha 20, Notes 85 to 86, paragraphs 227 to 229. Al-Anbiya 21, Note 27, page 262. Volume 9, Sabah 34, Notes 40 to 41, paragraphs 184 to 185. Al-Mu'min 40, Note 32, Al-Zukhruf 43, Note 68, Al-Najm 53, Note 21, and Al-Mudattir 74, Note 36.
ذلك اليوم الحق فمن شاء اتخذ إلى ربه مآبا.
That day is sure to come, so let him who will seek a resort with his Lord.
إنا أنذرناكم عذابا قريبا يوم ينظر المرء ما قدمت يداه ويقول الكافر يا ليتني كنت ترابا.
Lo, we warn you of a chastisement near at hand, the day when a man will look on what his own hands have sent forth, and the unbelievers shall say, Oh, would that I were utter dust. Lo, we warn you of a chastisement near at hand. In the Quran, it is said that divine chastisement is near at hand. This statement was made 1400 years ago, and countless people had died prior to its revelation. Moreover, even now it cannot be said with certainty that the last day will occur after how many hundreds, thousands, or even millions of years. Given this, how can this chastisement be described as something near at hand? Furthermore, this surah opens with an almost similar note. It is about the awesome tiding that they are in utter disagreement? No, indeed. Soon will they come to know. Again, no, indeed. Soon will they come to know. Verses 2 to 5. Time is actually relative to man's life. As long as he is alive, he is fully cognizant of it. After his death, only his soul survives, which does not have any consciousness of time. So when man is resurrected on the day of judgment, he will think that he has been woken up only after a few hours' sleep. It will not occur to him that he had been lying dead for thousands of years. For further details, see Towards Understanding the Quran, Volume 4, An-Nahl 16, Note 26, paragraphs 324 to 325. Volume 5, Bani Israel, 17, Note 56, page 50. Taha, 20, Note 80, paragraphs 224 to 225. And Volume 9, Yasin, 36, Note 48, paragraphs 266 to 267. Oh, would that I were utter dust! Full of regret, the unbelievers will wish on the day of judgment that they had not been born. They will be full of remorse as they are brought back to life.